What is something normal that scares the shit out of you? Putting my hand into the garbage disposal to clear it. No one else allowed in the kitchen, because I know they'll somehow turn it on. My wife broke a glass in the sink once, and it went in the garbage disposal. Clearing broken glass I couldn't see was the stupidest thing I've ever done. Lol, I'm fine with that, as long as nobody is anywhere near the switch. But my fiancé is terrified of it too, so he'll ask me to do it every time. I had to hire a handyman to install our dishwasher a few months ago. This older guy comes, reminded me a ton of my dad. So he hooks up the hoses and tells me he needs to pop a little plastic cap out of our disposal to hook the debris line to it. But he can't stick his hand in to get the cap out because he's terrified of sticking his hand in. So I tell him I'm cool with it. So he pops it from the outside and tells me to go for it while he feels around the hole to make sure it came out. Our hands brushed and he screamed so loud and high that even I jumped a good foot up in the air. We both just started dying of laughter and had to take a break for a while for his heartbeats to drop back to normal. If I wasn't working on a waste disposal right now, then this would be hilarious. Meaning, you're working on dropping a juice? This is gonna sound weird, but seeing things in the middle of the road at night. I was once driving home one night and turn a corner to see a dog in the middle of the road. Nothing weird, right? Completely normal sight in a suburb. Every instinct in my body was telling me to get the fuck out of there now. When I see stuff in the middle of the road at night, it doesn't matter what it is, I get chills, goosebumps. My ears stand on end and my palms sweat. It's happened with deer, dogs, people, raccoons, and even a trash can once. Can't explain it, but it terrifies me. Oh my god, I get this too. I think it has something to do with the fact that it's not supposed to be there, and when we see things we aren't supposed to, our brains respond edit. Also because it seems like it's on a stage with a spotlight and something has to happen. The feeling that's not supposed to be there is what gets me, I think. It might just be ingrained too because it doesn't happen in the daytime. If something is in my way in the day, I just acknowledge it and act accordingly, but that same scenario at night makes warning bells go off. Have you ever seen things dart into railroad and you didn't know what they were? I've seen something big and red run across the highway. I had to fucking swerve and everything. It was big, but I don't know WTF it was. It was like a blur, and I see black blurs fly across the road sometimes. One time it was in the morning bright as day and I seen this black thing, but it didn't look like an animal or anything real. It was black, and I swear I heard it hit my car. But I got out and looked and it was nothing. I was scared to death. It was my dog cause it was right by my house, but it wasn't. It reminds me of the time I was taking out my trash and I looked up and it looked like a giant black trash bag flying above me. I think it was some kind of oddity I just happened to notice as its wings were spanned out. Damn. Don't go on no humanoid or skinwalker subs. You'd be scared to death of the very real things people have seen in the road. Hey, just so you know, and I know, because it happens to me a lot, these black blurs often take form of children or animals, and are the first signs of sleep deprivation. Learning that helped me a lot, and reminds me to actually sleep sometimes. Grasshoppers. They just are too unpredictable, and it terrifies me. Frogs kind of too for the same reason, but not as bad. I feel this way about butterflies. They're pretty and harmless, but something about the way they fly makes me eat myself away when they are near me. You're the first person I've seen to share this fear. They're creepy little fuckers when they get too close. OMG, me too. I'm fucking scared of flying insects. I don't have a lot of fears, but flying insects drive me crazy. They have been stuck in my ear, nose, fly into my mouth, countless times against my face. Been bitten by quite a few. The worst are libels, because of their size. Getting an insect stuck in my ear is one of my biggest fears. The amount of times my grown ass has stuck my head inside my shirt in public due to an insect buzzing a bit too close to my ears is embarrassing. Not a fan. Interviews. Them. Tell us about yourself. Me. I still don't know how I got the job. This annoys the shit out of me. Like, you already know everything about me short of my Pornhub password. That's what the CV is for. Yes, I blanked so hard. I was expecting some complex question. I think I basically said my name and the work experience I had within the job. Last job interview was over the phone due to COVID. Aced that. Unexpected knocking on my door. I have nothing to hide. All my bills are paid, but for some reason I get a mild panic attack when someone knocks. It actually evokes immediate anger in me. I have to calm my face before I open the door. Feels like such an intrusion on my day. Knock knock, who has the fucking balls? Who dares knock at this hour? 1 PM. As someone with toddlers, this is nap time. You dare knock between 1 and 4, and I will get so mad. I have an irrational fear that someone will break in and steal my parrot whenever I leave my house. That means you love your parrot a lot, which is good. Unless it's a parrot made of solid gold. When cockroaches starts to fly, the problem is not when they appear, it's when they disappear. Muffled buzzing behind the drawer. You know it's there, but can you catch it in time? Will it fly straight at your face if you move the drawer? Will it rush under the bed? Every time I'm just chilling and I suddenly hear those buzzing sounds. Yeah, I'm not even gonna go check if it is or isn't a cockroach. I know it is, and I'm noping TF out. Kinda weird, but when audio starts skipping when in playing my music, it scares me shitless. Totally agree. Instant anxiety kickstarted for sure. Big something's wrong energy. I think it fits in the uncanny valley for me. Whenever technology doesn't work the way it's supposed to, I nearly get scared shitless if a game closes out on my computer while I'm playing it, even though the most likely answer is that it just crashed. For whatever reason, I remember being very afraid if blue screen / rings of death on a PC or Xbox 360 as a kid. Someone else who gets it. There's something so unsettling about failing tech, error messages and all that, and the language of error messages is always so serious. Really freaks me out. Mirrors in a dark room. Like if you turn the light off in the bathroom before leaving or something. Feel like that's where the veil is thinnest there for some reason. Fun fact, if you were to ever see something in the mirror, it's because your brain is trying to fill in what's there based on a low stimulus, I think. It's called pareidolia and is why we see faces in objects and flowers or animals in clouds. I have a mirror in my bedroom and every night when I stay up late I see something in it, but when I look directly at it it disappears, kinda creepy lol, but I try to ignore it. Yeah, this is pareidolia, I believe. Your brain can't see exactly what's there out of the corner of your eye, so it makes something up. Damn, thanks a fucking lot for the nightmares. Asshole brain filling in the gaps. Let's each stand up and introduce ourselves and say one interesting thing about ourselves. I'm Bob and I try to kill one random person every week. Is today Tuesday? I volunteer as tribute. Sorry, we run the professional rules. No women. No kids. Besides, since we know that death and taxes are the only two sure things in life, there is no reason to fulfill either obligation early. Give yourself time to work with what you earned until the very last moment allowed. This is an oddly comforting sentiment. That Lego dragon statue in the water outside the Lego store in Orlando, Florida. I recently found out that other people find it scary after discovering the submersionophobia subreddit. I have the same opposite feeling about submersionophobia. I find it more fascinating than scary. I find the two often overlap for me. The sound of someone riding a skateboard on the sidewalk behind me. I don't know why, but I freeze. I would like to ab trucks. When I'm walking on a sidewalk and hear a truck coming up behind me, I die a little on the inside. TBH, I think we'd all be scared if we heard a truck directly behind us on a sidewalk, since they shouldn't be there. What if it's a truck riding a skateboard? Then it's totally radical. I'm doing it right now. Learning to drive, especially because I'm taking lessons. And after my lesson tomorrow, I'm gonna be on the highway, and my lessons have a tendency to be really close together. Once you've been driving for a few years it becomes a mundane, second nature kinda thing. Then friends and family start dying in car accidents, and you start to realize how dangerous it really is. I'd say that the big thing is to just not get too nonchalant. Always be aware of your surroundings and focus on the road, no matter how comfortable you are with driving. That's a scary idea to me, that many people can almost zone out while being responsible for a ton of moving metal. Don't know if this counts as normal, but mental illnesses The fact that your own brain can turn on you and create a reality different from the rest of us scares the shit out of me. Growing up in a very neurotic family, my biggest fear was that I was like them and lacked the ability to see myself and the world clearly. It was sort of like my mum is in complete denial that she has severe BPD and PTSD. Her memories change depending on what she wants to remember. What if I'm the same and just don't know it? I basically gaslit myself. My mother has BPD amongst other things, and she always changed stories or told new lies during stories, and I just thought she was doing it on purpose. Never thought it would have been part of her mental illness. Wow. I have BPD, but something people often forget is that we are responsible for our own actions. BPD is manageable with therapy. I may have very strong emotions, but if I hurt anyone, I'm still responsible for that. Just because someone is mentally ill doesn't mean they can't help their actions. You are the first person I've heard say, I have BPD. Thank you for saying it's manageable with therapy. My mum believes it's not her problem and that the rest of the family have conspired against her. It's heartbreaking. Be kind to you, and I wish you all the help in the world for being responsible with your actions toward yourself and others. The future, and people asking me how I feel about something, because usually I have no clue how I feel about something, so I end up lying and just agreeing with them. It makes me feel so fake because everything I like and dislike generally based off of other people's opinion, because I seriously just have zero clue how I actually feel about things. The only things I'm certain that I do and don't like are things like food and music. Everything else, even things like my hobbies, I generally can't figure out if I actually like doing it or if it's because I grew up around people whose hobbies were the same as my hobbies. I only just realized this too. This is pretty normal and common as a young person, but the only fix for this is not being ashamed of not having an opinion about something. Just because they've thought about it and then put you on the spot doesn't mean you should be ashamed of saying I don't know. Plus, we learn by watching others. It's called observational learning, so being interested in something because you saw someone else do it doesn't make it any less yours, so to speak. But what if your entire existence is based on optional learning and you don't have a genuine personality? Is that normal? I'm not the original person you replied to, but I think every person already has a genuine personality, even if it's not often acknowledged by others. It's easy to notice the personalities of people who are, for example, very opinionated and boisterous. The indicative behaviors are pretty obvious. If the first thing someone says to you is I hate Iron Maiden because you're wearing an Iron Maiden shirt, you would probably notice that. On the flip side, you may need longer to figure out that someone usually has neutral opinions and is introverted. Their behavior isn't as in your face. If you meet someone new and they never comment on your Iron Maiden shirt, would you immediately assume it's because they don't like or dislike the band? After all, you might not even notice. It could take a while to see this pattern of behavior. Often when people say that someone has no personality, they really mean that they can't easily discern what it is. Maybe your personality is just that you don't really have strong opinions and you hate conflict, so you agree with what everyone says. That's perfectly okay and constitutes a whole ass personality. Of course you could change this with time, but these aren't inherently bad traits to have. Hope that helped somehow, lol. Space. Just looking up and coming to terms with how big it is and how little we know about it. Don't think of it as looking up. Think of it as looking down into an infinite void. A true bottomless pit. That helps. Not, now I'm staring into this bottomless void all the time. Thanks. Peer into the void and the void peers into you. Closing my eyes when shampooing. I've seen too many horror movies to enjoy darkness. It's an endless cycle. You close your eyes and lather your face as quick as possible, but you go too fast and open your eyes and now your eyes burn. So you close your eyes and go back under the water stream and you do it all again. And every time you come out of the water and open your eyes briefly, the clown is a little bit closer. Thanks. I hate it. The ocean. I'm talking like out in the ocean. Hundreds of miles from land. Treading water. Alone. Also, spiders. You would hate my sleep paralysis spiders. I'll just input my related spider fear when they just appear on the curtains after looking at them not too long ago, meaning they were in the folds. Had that shit happen few months ago when I was getting cozy in bed. Still afraid of that happening again. I cannot have curtains in my home. Because when I was a kid I drew the curtains in my grandma's one evening and a big hairy 8-legged bastard fell out on me. Traumatized for life. I feel like I have secondhand trauma just from trying to imagine this. I'm so sorry this happened to you. Public speaking. My friends didn't really understand what a fear of public speaking meant till I showed them on my Fitbit how my heart was racing to about 150 BPM because I had to give a speech for an election that I was running unopposed in. Like this shit is real. Did you win? It was an emotional defeat, but I ended up with the position. Can you run for president please? Feeling warm. I had a vacation to China when I was a child. And ever since I woke up in the hospital there, I've been very, and I mean very, sensitive to heat. It could be 20°F outside, and I'd feel warm. The worst part is, usually when I get too hot, I have a wicked seizure and wake up on the floor with scraped knees or a bruise on my forehead. I dunno. Feeling warm terrifies me now, because I just know I'm more likely to pass out. 20 degrees. God, I hope you're talking Celsius or you've been living a miserable life. Edit. I have been informed that op in fact meant Fahrenheit. Poor soul. Nah Kelvin. Nice try Pennywise. My husband knows how much Pennywise terrifies me. He taught our 4-year-old to growl and say "Here Georgie." Every morning my son says "Here Georgie mom lol." Oh, that's too adorable for words. Relationships. For me it isn't the relationship itself. I love that shit. However, the fact that you so can just fall out of love on a whim is what terrifies me. Had it happen once, and I can't do it again. That little tiny chance, and one scenario, has me all fucked up. I'm just as concerned the other way. I know I'm annoying, and pathetic and they could lose interest in / respect for me at any point. But I'm also fickle, and have very unreliable access to my own feelings. And I know how easily I can turn and begin to dislike a person. My most functional and stable adult relationships are ultimately pretty distant ones. Freaking walking in the dark. You expect me to just walk comfortably when I hear a small noise in the bushes and I can barely see. I tell myself not to be ashamed of being scared of the dark because it's a survival instinct. Meaning we can't fucking see, which means it's not safe for us. Which means I'm not a baby for being afraid of it lol. Phone calls. Especially if it's not a number from my contact list. If it's important they can leave a message. Eyes contact. I don't know why, but when someone looks directly in my eyes, I will feel very uncomfortable and nervous. My hands will begin to sweat a lot, and my throat will feel like burning. My friends say that maybe it is because I'm lying or have done something wrong, but it's not. When I talk to other people such as my teacher, friends, relatives, parents etc., I often look at another spot in their face like ears, noses, mouth, or else certainly not eyes. The same goes with when I practice public speaking or being awarded on the stage. I usually look at the ceiling or the clock or an empty space between audiences rather than their eyes. I think it may be because I'm scared of being judged or being noticed too much, and I'm trying to fix it so hard. A tip I've heard to avoid becoming anxious / self-conscious in our own head is just to pay attention to what the other people are doing even more. Usually we just overdo it in our own minds to an irrational level. I often do that, since it's quite effective. Literally just focus on what people are doing. If it's not the eyes, I will be definitely okay. Confrontation. From knocking on a door to eye contact. The thought of getting pregnant. As a stupid little kid I thought that sex wasn't what made a woman pregnant. That it was just a thing that happened at random once you were an adult, and I was so scared. Thank God it's not that. This seems largely irrational compared to others, but someone driving behind me, like they don't even have to be close to me, they can just be doing their own thing, but I don't like it. The corpses of big bugs and snails. I have a fear of killing big bugs because of how their corpse would look like. I once killed a fly and maggots started to crawl out of it. Since then I haven't killed a fly. Wouldn't have been maggots. Probably a parasite, such as a nematode. Oh, fuck that. Yeah, not any better. Teeth, or more specifically, a medical problem with teeth. For me or anyone else. Just creep me out. I'm technically not scared of the dentist, but rather by the tools they use, and particularly that on little tool that has a small metal stick, kind of, at the end, that the dentist uses to remove the damaged part of the tooth. If you are new to Tattletale TV, please subscribe. We have new videos every day. Stay tuned for more coming up next.